Good morning! My name is Trisha.
I'm Kat.
And I'm Kaylee.
And our mockumentary is on Utopia. So the meaning of Utopia is a real or imaginary place or being that's considered perfect or ideal. And perfect means an excellent or completely beyond practical or theoretical improvement. And this is just the dictionary definition. Most people have a different meaning for all these words. And so the idea behind a utopia is to build a perfect political and social structure for humanity, but comes from individuals' minds.
With this being known, that utopia, the concept comes from individuals, that there's so many people on the planet, there's obviously different versions, such as Divergent, Harrison Bergeron, Thomas More, first guy to write a book on Utopia named Utopia. Communism, heaven, and hell. Even though hell is not a utopia, it is tied to heaven, so therefore it's here. They are separated based on political, religious characteristics and stuff that we can't exactly control. So it is all these share a common thing of separation between people to create a utopia. That is how all this happens, such as in Divergent, Fraction Before Blood. So then there is separation between people, so it could be an equal balanced society. Why did these not work? Why did all of these fall?
Go! We as humans have human flaws, such as selfishness or greediness, which causes us to have different wants, such as having a utopia with flying cars, or having a utopia with no cars at all, which causes us to have different opinions. Our different opinions on politics and religion is what causes us to be different. We don't have the same opinion on these, but
Knowing these obstacles, can we really decide whether having a utopia is delusional or not? Whether it is possible in the near future, whether it's possible farther out? Well, let's take some background information from our classroom interviews.
okay. If utopia was real, what would it look like?
I think it would look like, you know how like the Jetsons and like the hoverboards and all the technology.
Okay. How would you imagine the political system?
Just like now, like a democratic republic.
Would everyone have the same religion?
Yes.
Do you think it's actually possible to have a utopia?
Not at this point in time because of like all the war in like Russia and just everyone trying to like overpower each other and just all the conflict. So utopia would be like a peaceful society.
If utopia was real, what would it look like?
We'd have flying cars, tall skyscrapers, free healthcare, public transportation, jobs for everybody, but easy jobs, not equal ones.
How would you imagine the political system?
It would be like America, just like this, except not terrible.
Except that everything free.
Everybody would agree on everything instead of
Gridlock.
yes.
What religion would there be, or would there be any religion?
No religion.
Everybody would be free to practice their own religion,
Yeah, it'd just
and
be
nobody
free.
would be offended by anything ever.
Do you think it's actually possible to have a utopian world?
No,
No. Probably.
never.
What's preventing us from becoming a utopian world?
Communists.
Everybody's got different ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, people in general. You can't please everybody.
If everybody agreed on the same thing, then maybe, but that won't never happen.
If utopia was real, what would it look like?
It would look like the feeling that John Lennon's Imagine gives you, you know, that whole like rainbow of dust, like awesome empowerment feeling, you know, unicorn flying by. Yeah.
How would you imagine the political system?
I think it would be like, you know, how Obama is, but without all the white people there. So just like awesome, you know, healthcare for everyone. Everyone can go anywhere and they wouldn't have to worry about it, you know, that kind of thing.
What religion would everyone have, or would there be any religion?
You know, it's also like John Lennon's song, you know, no religion too.
Do you think it's actually possible to have a utopian world?
Some people may call me a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I think it is possible, but in our current state, no, because people are crazy and there are too many white people who are like horrible on the left. Like, once they all like go away, it'll be gone.
Oh, if utopia was real, what would it look like?
It would be a match between Washington and California.
How would you imagine the political system?
Just like today, like Democratic and Republican.
What religion would there be, or would there be any?
Just exactly the same as today, like multiple religions and everything.
Do you think it's actually possible for us to have a utopian world?
I think it depends on the person and the people. Like one person can have their perfect world and the other person cannot. It depends.
What's preventing us from becoming a utopian world?
Decisions and people themselves, I think.
Okay, so what is your ideal utopia?
Thought I had an answer.
Does it have like flying cars or like?
No, I think flying cars are totally overrated. We can't even drive on streets without running into each other. Self-driving cars. That's my utopia.
Okay.
Google's already figured it out. The fact that I have to drive my own car to work every day is ridiculous. Self-driving cars, and like the other thing is that it would be nice if at some point we could figure out how to solve our political differences without resorting to poking holes in each other until we bleed to death.
Oh, nice. So with a political system, do you think like should we have a Democratic, Republican, or like just none at all to keep peace?
Democracy seems to be the best thing going to date, but we've already shown that when you reach 300 million, it starts to be a bit of an issue. So, I don't know. I think there's some hybrid model out there that maybe will be the answer. It doesn't lead to bipartisanship inevitably. Roddenberry figured it out.
Okay. So would there be religion in your utopia, or like no religion at all?
And no religion too? Imagine.
Okay. So do you think it's achievable to have a utopia?
I think that yes, but not until we deal with resource shortages. As long as there's limited resources, there will always be conflict and competition for those resources. Or until we end up with a much larger enemy than all of us represent to each other, like, I don't know, say Klingons. And then we can achieve a utopia here.
Okay. And so is that what you would say that's stopping us practically from reaching the utopia?
I don't know if it's our ideals or our resources or a combination of the two. But when you're competing for limited resources and you have lines of idealism to draw differences on, you're always going to end up with teams.
If utopia was real, what would it look like?
If Utopia was real, it would look like a place that would have a lot of tolerance for, not just tolerance, but celebrating diversity for all the people of different races and classes and genders. There would be a reasonable degree of income distribution so that you didn't have a super wealthy class and everybody else was suffering at the bottom of society. And we would be taking care of our environment. That would be my vision of utopia.
How would you imagine the political system?
I think the political system would be a truly democratic system where the most capable candidates would would get and attain office, not just necessarily the most politically expedient.
What religion would there be, or would there be any?
I think there would be religious tolerance in Utopia. There would be, people would be free to practice whatever religion they, wherever their faith led them. So that's what I would envision as religion in Utopia.
Do you think it's actually possible to have a utopian world?
It might be, but it's going to be hard. There's a lot of human nature that works against that.
What's preventing us from becoming a utopia?
Human nature. There's a lot of, even in myself, and I consider myself a very good person generally, but I still have greed, anger, all those things. It's kind of tough to form a utopia when you're wrestling with human nature and some people's, natural inclinations. It's tough to do. It's very hard often to do the right thing all the time.
Utopia. It's your very own Governor Flores. It's not my turn to announce this new banishment, for it's quite a federal action that most hold dear. But donuts from this point on are banished, for they are an unfair, pleasurable food. Any donuts that are present are to be terminated, and any recipe shall be burned. If one is found to be baking a donut, there will be severe consequences, including death. Still, I highly recommend to follow this closely, as we've noticed that quite a few rebellions starting to brew from these banishments. If there is to be any rebellion or any kind, the government will terminate you. Have a lovely day, my fellow utopians.
And we're back. And based on the interviews that we received, 100% of people are pessimists about whether utopia is possible or not. Just like me, I agree with them that it's not possible because there's so many different versions, and we've had so much time to think about this that we would have come up with a solution by now, such as over here with Divergent, Harrison Bergeron, and Thomas More. He wrote this book long ago. If it was possible, we would have come up with a solution by now to creating it. And also, there is some economic trouble that my colleague Kayla will talk about.
Well, in order for it to have a utopia, we would need like a whole lot of money. And that requires like the whole world to cooperate. And like some people, like in order to have utopia, like we may not even use money, but some people like don't want to like give away their money that easily.
There's also people's religious views and everything else, and how people always strive to be different. You know that one kid that comes up and they dye their hair like a rainbow streak of their head, and maybe they wear clown shoes and stuff. Well, because they're different. They want to be different. They are who they are. You can't make it so that everyone would accept them or everyone would be like them. It's not possible. At least on the grand scale. And then cut.
Okay, so on a local point of view, it's most likely for utopia to occur, or at least our views on that. And if you were to just imagine Oak Harbor, is there a few flaws that you want taken out? Or horrible weather, right? Like today it's windy and rainy, and sometimes you want it to be like California, right? I think a lot of people want to go to California just because of the weather. You can wear shorts all the time. I think that'd be nice. So it'd be like most people's utopia for a local standpoint is just nice weather and a good environment. Do you agree, Kaylee?
Yeah, I guess, but like I think it would be more easier to have a utopia on a local scale because there's less people to have their opinions with. There isn't much difference, and there isn't much conflict as much as there would be when there would be like more people in more towns.
It's just the circle